Welcome to another episode of The Authentic Advantage. Today's conversation is for anyone who believes business isn't just about transactions, because it's not. It's about the people. And I'm sitting today with Erin Dobbins, someone who leads with heart. We're talking about what it actually looks like to care in your work, how trust is built in real time, and why being a team player still matters more than ever. Erin, super excited to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Yay, I'm so excited. So excited to be here.
We've had some great conversation. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Erin. I am an intuitive energetic healer. I also like to say I am a timeline collapser, and I help entrepreneurs and also aspiring entrepreneurs brainwash themselves to success in both their life and their business. People think that they need another strategy, but it's really seeing that you are the strategy.
I like that you use the word brainwash. So I want to touch on that in a little bit. I know earlier when you and I were talking, you were really passionate about what you do and loving what you do. When did you realize that that mattered to you?
Yeah, of course. So I actually, when I started my business 3 years ago, it was in somatics. So I've been doing talk therapy for a long time, and I did like one breathwork class, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize how disconnected I was to my body, how much I was holding in my body from the trauma I experienced. And that's when I started my business. And I was getting opportunities, I was getting clients, and all of a sudden, everything just fell apart in my life, in my business. And that's the thing, people think that, your blow up happens in one area of life. Like, no, usually it affects all areas of your life because it's like the beliefs underneath that are causing that. And so I
Yep.
was on the brink of divorce. Like, I was about 20 pounds heavier than I am now. Like, everything, family, friendships, and then the clients' opportunities all just went away. And that's actually what really got me into what I do now, because what I realized underneath why everything was falling apart was because I wasn't being myself. I wasn't being my authentic self, which really came from this belief of I'm not enough as I am, which made me overstretched, which made me overgive, which made me show up as a different person than I was because I thought that's what would make people like me want to sign up with me. That's what got me into what I do now, which is really helping people really step into their authenticity because we were made for our purpose. We're here for a purpose. And so for us to really be in our full purpose in our life, we need to be our full authentic selves.
I love that so much. I can resonate with that feeling of being somebody else before I stepped into my authenticity. And it is such a night and day difference, right? In the way that you live your life. So, what does doing what lights you up on a day to day look like?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, and even myself, right? Even the things that we love to do, I think sometimes we can even find that light going out. And
Yeah.
really, what I have found, what really keeps me lit up is seeing everything as a commitment to myself. So even the clients I work with, even when I'm like sitting down and I'm doing admin work, like seeing it, not how is it just benefiting my business, but how is it benefiting me? Because that's the thing that's going to really keep me going. That's what's going to make me happy. That's when it's going to keep me lit up in what I do, is if I'm seeing how this is also benefiting me in my life. So that's what keeps me lit up in everything I do. Because if I even feel like for a moment I'm doing something just for a client or doing something to just get an opportunity, my light immediately goes out because it no longer feels like it's for me. It feels like I'm doing it for someone else.
Yeah. And being in your type of work, I know that feeling when you're helping other people. Right? When you say, ask yourself, like, how is this benefiting me? And helping other people lights a fire within you, right? And I know we discussed
Yes.
that earlier. Like, that's helping you, but how does that help you?
No, that's a great question. I think, it's funny, and I'm sure you can agree with this. When I'm helping someone, they're also a mirror to me. So even when I'm in a session with someone, I'm learning about myself too. Or I'll get off a session or I'll intuitively pull something for someone and I'll be like, well, I need to hear that right now. I need to go do this for
Yes.
myself.
Oh my God. I so agree.
So I think like that's how I even in session, like one, I love my clients. It's so fun, but just getting to the deeper level of how it's a benefit to me, it's always helping me grow and improve too. So it's just cool how it can be two ways that we're both improving.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's definitely eye-opening because I do see it's easy for us to give advice, right?
Yeah.
But then when it comes to ourselves, we kind of like we know what we should be doing, but we don't necessarily do it. I don't know what to call that, but I often see that and I say, when you're in a situation, what's the advice that I would give to, my best friend or my daughter? That's the advice that I should be taking, right? And so I try to live by that. But I know earlier you and I were talking about how you previously worked in corporate and we talked a lot about customers and trust. Why do you think so many people miss the relationship part of the business?
I think a lot of people, if I'm just being honest and blunt, I think it's because, and it's, how am I trying to put this? It's like possible.
Be as blunt as
I
you
think,
want.
yes, okay. I think in society, we're really taught to go after the money. And so
Hmm.
I think that like will negate relationships in business. And I actually saw a thread recently of someone who was calling this out about God, everyone's so hungry these days. And I think it seems like this very negative thing, but a lot of times, like when our want for things is actually just an emotional desire. So, like, for me, like my money want was definitely under like wanting safety and security, or feeling like I'm already successful in what I do. And so I think but then there's just a lot of like this unhealed money want that happens. I think that's what happens when we miss the relationships. It's like people are just so much after, I want to sell the course as quickly as possible. I want to, put out offers so I can make as much money as possible. But gosh, if we actually focus on what do we want underneath the money, we healed that. I do actually think that would help us come back to the relationships in our businesses.
So that's a really great point. And I see that often. And not just that we were taught to go after the money, but it's almost like in today's world, we're forced to, I mean, we have to make money in order to survive, right? And especially with inflation and high gas prices and just the economy in general, people are resorting to all sorts of things, especially online. I see it a lot, right? These digital courses, and people are just throwing stuff out there left and right, not really looking at how do I help my customer, but it's really how do I help myself? I want to know how do you build trust then with people that don't know you yet? And especially on an online world, right? Where it's like
Yeah.
extremely saturated.
Yes, yes. There's a couple things with that there. I think, and this is something I say to my clients all the time, I'm sure you do too, being like the authenticity piece of it, is that we are now moving into an age. If you are not being authentic online, people don't want to see it. Like people are over the perfectionism. People are also over only seeing you successful. Like people want to be in it with you. I think that we've been taught that if we are not showing the actor effects, like talking about like, oh yeah, 5 years ago when like for myself, got fired from corporate America and how it helped me in this. People actually want to see that now. And so for me, it's funny because I am actually posting a video today where I caught a really raw moment of myself. I call it the honest hour, where I'll sit in my car and I will just be so honest with what's going on in my life. And then
Oh, I like that.
afterwards, yes, just like being so blunt, so like, because who cares? No one's listening to you. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to hurt anyone's feelings.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I see like the other side of it because a lot of times what we think is truthful in our brains is not actually truth. And so we need to show our brain what the truth is. And so I caught myself take I just intuitively felt like taking this video. I took a clip just like 2 minutes out of the 35-minute video. And it was me crying and me talking about like how hard it is. Like for our like my brain can be so hard on myself. And then it goes in this funny moment of me catching myself, like literally my brain telling me that if I'm on the couch and I don't have socks on, I'm working my phone, then my mother-in-law is gonna think I'm a freeloader. And then I start laughing. And it's in like sharing that moment. And some people might think it's cringe or it's weird or whatever, but it's like that's authenticity because when people are going to watch that, they're going to be like, they're going to relate to me. They're going to feel seen. And also, too, it gives permission to other content creators to catch more of those moments and to show them. So, for me, how I build relationships with people is not just showing the perfection in my life, but all parts of my life. And you can do that in a funny way too. Like I'm gonna make a video of all the times my husband humbled my ass, like in a
Yeah.
funny way. But I think there's ways to do it. But that's how I do it. Is like I'm just very vulnerable, very honest about all parts of my life because that's what people want to see. That's how we relate as humans. Like if I'm meeting a friend, and I'm sure you can relate this too, it's like if we aren't connecting, if we're not like sharing what's going on in our lives, then I don't really trust you. And that's the same with our businesses. It's like if we aren't sharing not just the successes, but the things that we're also going through, then our clients don't naturally trust us because they don't see us as the humans that we are.
Yeah, you nailed so many great points. I think a lot of people can relate to what you're saying. I have too made those videos. I made one recently. I was crying. I was so upset. And matter of fact, I'm just going to be vulnerable and say I was at a point where I just felt like giving up. I didn't think, it was one thing right after another and it wasn't meant for me. And I made a video telling everybody I'm a failure and all these other things. And then, like you said, I went back and I watched some of that and I realized some of the things that I was telling myself. And so it is important. And I wanted to post that too, but I haven't, and I want to because exactly what you said, though. People are going to relate to that. So, I didn't delete it. I'm eventually gonna use it at the right time, and even if it's, 10 years from now to say, "Look, this is how hard it is to build a business." Somebody is going to be able to relate to that, and I do think it's very important, and if you mentioned something in the beginning, people might find it cringe. That's the part about being authentic is who cares what anybody else thinks? You have to stop caring. And the people who do not find it cringe, those are the people that you want to attract into your life anyways, right?
100%. And also, something you said earlier that I wanted to touch on was like the oversaturation piece. And I totally get it. It's hard. Like people have this thought process of, God, there's so many social media accounts, there's so many podcasts. But something I do want everyone to know today is that like we're all made for our purpose, like every part of us, but also too, there are souls who are literally contracted to you, like who are literally meant to work with you. And so if you're called to make a podcast, and you're like, I can't do it, it's too oversaturated. Your literal souls that are like the clients that are waiting for you are podcast listeners. Like that's an intuitive pull. So the longer you wait and sit on the things you're being pulled to do, you're actually one, like taking away from you getting those clients. And also two, you're literally stopping those souls who are literally waiting for you to listen to you to get help from you. Like I always like to think like we're in this beautiful relay race of life. And so like if I'm like running and then I'm like, okay, now I'm on my path. Now I pass off these people. Oh my God, now they can get on their path. Like we're all meant to help each other in life and the oversaturation. And I get it. Like it's hard sometimes because we're just taught that, like if there's too much in
Yeah.
a space, but it's,
But it's a fear that we actually need to overcome. It's
yeah,
that you said it earlier, that inner critic. It is the worst. It is the absolute worst to ourselves because we
yes,
would never talk to anybody else that way, but we talk to ourselves that way.
yes,
It's you just have to remind yourself, oversaturated market. Get that thought out of your head. That's just your, brain's way of telling you don't do it. It's fear-based, right? But it's not necessarily
100%.
true. Yeah. Do you think people hold themselves back by doing just enough?
That is a really great question. I'm probably going to say something that like maybe most people don't agree with, but it's just my personal experience. I think it depends on if you're in your purpose or not. And the reason why I say that is because when I was in my corporate America job, I did not go above and beyond. I'll be really honest. I didn't. And sometimes I was below average as a worker. And the And the reason when I became honestly below average and I wasn't putting in was when I realized it wasn't my purpose because I thought it was. Like, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there like still trying to figure out what they want to be when they grow up. And I get it. Like that was like a burning like desire of mine. Like, God, I just want to figure out what I want to be. I changed my college degree 6 times. I worked out of college in nonprofit. I worked for an insurance company. I was all over the place. Then I landed in a tech company that literally got bought out 3 months later from corporate America, big corporate America firm, which is funny because my dad told me when I took that job, he said, you know that these companies can get bought out. Like, why would they hire me? I just got hired and then they got bought out 3 months later. So shout out
That's
dad.
funny.
He knew
Leave
something.
it to our parents to know everything.
Yes, exactly, exactly. They're still good to listen to at times. And yeah, when I was in there, and it was actually at the time where I think it was like a year in, I was like, God, this is just not it. And then that's when I found breath work and started my business. That's when the moment I was like, I started to become below average. But here's the thing, it's like, how do I say this? It's like those jobs don't matter, but they do matter. It's like when you're in a job that you hate, it's still good to see how it's helping you
Hmm.
because I think that anywhere that we're at, anything's benefiting us and helping us. Like that job did help me learn how to talk to customers. It did help me what I wanted to, what I did not want to do in my business. Like it actually taught me to be better as a business owner. So I do want to say that. But also at the end of the day, it's like if it's not your purpose, it's not going to matter in
No.
the long run. And
Mm.
we only have so much energy to give. And I am someone who can't have one foot in one place. Like you can't give 100% to both places. So I say if you're in a place and you're like, God, this is not my purpose, my personal advice is to do the bare minimum because honestly, most people are in those places and then give it to the purpose that actually matters. That's where I believe you should be giving your 100% to. That's where I believe that like going above and beyond, not in the place where you feel like you have to overgive because you're not doing enough, but above and beyond because it actually lights you up. And like
Yeah.
that's going to also shift the energy too, because where your energy is where like you're basically telling the universe where you want to be. So if you're giving 100% to this place, but your purpose is really over here, it's going to make it harder for the universe to help you actually shift in the place you actually want to go and be.
Yeah. Yeah, you're misaligned. So earlier you said they matter, but they don't. You were trying to figure out how to say it. So I don't think we touched on this, but I too come from high tech corporate America, right? And so I worked for some of these big tech companies and I felt the same way. The one thing that I always came back to, and I'd ask other people just to see if it was me feeling this way. I just felt like our job was so pointless. Like I'd show up to these QBRs and I'd have to like fill out like don't even get me started on the amount of pointless work that we would be asked to do for the business that we both know aren't really moving the needle, but it's process and protocol. And I just yeah, they were paying me six figures, but I had absolutely no passion in my life. I just felt like such pointless work. I wanted to do something meaningful, which is exactly what you're saying. You know, people know there's something that they want to do, but they're scared to do it. So they stay in that safety zone of the corporate job and they're misaligned and they stay in misalignment for a really long time. And it wasn't until I left, like I said, you can't be, like you said, you can't be in both places at once. And so when I finally left or also got fired, just like you, so we're corporate dropouts. Welcome to the club. And it opened up a whole new world for me to be able to do exactly what I want. And I no longer feel like my work is pointless. All right. So outside of work, then, you've built a life that sounds really full. I have to know what is it that keeps you grounded? Because a lot of times we're soaking up energy when we're helping other people. And so it's really important that we ground ourselves.
Yeah, that is such a great question because honestly, I have been working my ass off in the last 4 months to really build a life that my business fits in. Like that is my goal. Because when we become entrepreneurs, I think that's most of our goals. We're like, God, we want the freedom. We want to be able to do the things. But actually, what usually happens is we do the opposite. we build the business and then we try to fit our life into it and then we get burnt out and
Yes.
then we become resentful of our business. And then it's like the thing that lit us up is now draining us, which is the thing we left was draining us. They're like,
Right?
how do we get here? How do we get in the same loop? So yeah, I really have worked hard to really, and it's a day-to-day thing. I'm not going to say I'm perfect because I definitely have crossed boundaries as far as like working too late and things. And then I feel it the next day and I feel like how it affects everything I do. So yeah, for me, it's really like building in like a morning routine and night routine. Like that's been a big, big thing for me where I am putting myself 100% first. I'm not looking at my phone. I am doing the things that light me up. Like I like doing, I call them love letters to myself, which is actually like subconscious reprogramming, which is basically where you just get to see the day before where you're really cool. It's like you get to praise
I like
yourself in that
that.
way.
Yeah.
Or like a night routine where I'm like, I have to stop at this time and I'm going to do the things that make me happy. I'm going to watch the show. I'm going to read the book. I'm going to also, again, I look at the day before my day and I see like praise myself for all the things that I did. And I make sure that like once a week I have time with my husband. I also, which honestly has been very, very difficult for me, make sure I take 2 days off a week. And it's hard because our brains want to tell us, well, what do you mean? Like there's no way we're going to get all the things done. There's no way we're going to be able to accomplish all the things we do. But actually, when I'm not doing those things, I'm being burnt out and then I end up getting less done anyway. So for me, like that's how I stay myself grounded is like make sure I'm doing the things that really make me happy. And then it makes me show up better for what I do for my clients in business.
Yeah. And earlier you said you were doing just enough in your corporate job, right?
Yes.
Look at the difference. So when you're doing something that you're absolutely passionate and on fire about, you want to work 24/7 and your brain's like, "What, how are we going to get this all done? We got to keep working." And I mean, this last weekend, I haven't taken a day off. It's now been, almost 14 days. But I'm okay with it. I worked all weekend like 15 hours a day because I'm really passionate about what I do. But it will burn you out. It will absolutely burn you out, and you're absolutely right in finding ways to ground yourself, and I think those are fantastic. Outside of work, you're doing these amazing things to ground yourself, but what does happiness look like for you outside of that?
It's
Like,
just, yeah.
outside of what you're building, right? Because we know that makes us
Yes.
happy.
And it's funny. This reminds me of the question when I was in therapy and I was really into working out at the time. I was like a bodybuilder and the whole situation. I remember
Really?
yeah, that could be a whole podcast in itself.
Yeah, please, yes.
And I remember her asking me, "What do you like to do outside of working out?" And I was like, "What?" Because that had become my whole life. And, like I said, the last 4 months, I've been really working hard to be like, that can't be my whole life.
Yeah.
Gosh, what does happiness mean to me? I mean, the thing that I love to do the most is travel. Like that is pure, pure happiness to me is traveling, is that sense of freedom, is that sense of like I can go wherever I want to go and be wherever I want to be. And actually, I think it was 3 years ago when I was actually still in my corporate job. And I remember I said, and it was at the point where I was kind of starting to learn more about this stuff about how to like live the life you want to live. And I'd want to travel for a long time. And I finally said, fuck it. And I said, you know what? The money's going to show up for me. I'm going to be able to travel however I want to travel. And I traveled every month and I went to every place that I've ever wanted to go to. Some of the trips I paid for half of it for my friends. And to this day, I'm like, I don't know how I like really shows the proof. If you truly believe that
Yeah.
it's going to happen for you, it does. Because money came up in the craziest ways. Like, not even through my corporate job, like in the craziest ways. And I wasn't even having my business at the time. And yeah, it just like that whole
We
thing showed
create
me
our
like,
realities. It's
yes,
true. You just
a
have to
hundred
leap and do
percent.
it.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. And that like showed me, well, I can do whatever I want. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you have a strong enough belief, you can make it happen. And to this day, like travel is the thing that lights me up. And last year I took off from traveling, but this year I'm actually leaving for a trip in a couple of days and making that like a priority for me is it's just like that sense of, I don't know, when I can get away even for a weekend and I am not in my same like routine and energy and things like that, it just really opens me up. And I will say it does help my business. Like everything does help because it just gives you more ideas and like you're
It also
just,
can ground you, right?
yes,
Like it
yes.
does, yeah, at a different level.
And it just like more fun and flow and playfulness. And so, yeah, I would say travel is a thing that, like, outside of my business, that really just lights me up and just brings me a lot of happiness.
Yeah, life is too short to not live your best life. I agree with that. And so the more you can fit in, the better. I want to fit more traveling in. I have 3 kids, so it's a little more tough. But I'm going to make a bigger commitment to myself, especially after talking to you. Okay, so want to know if someone started to work with you tomorrow, how it's really important for you, I'm sure, that they leave with some sort of feeling. How would you want them to feel working with you? Like, what is your goal for somebody to leave with?
Yes. And it's funny because I say this in like my elevator pitch, my pitch, but my goal is for everyone to leave thinking, why has someone not paid me $1 billion just for existing? That is my goal. Like truly my goal. Like when people talk about getting paid to exist, a lot of it is like showing you how to do like automations and how to, make your life easier with systems, but really getting paid to exist, like being your birthright, is that when we step into our authenticity, then we step into our purpose. When we step into our authenticity, we step into our gifts. And then when we step into those things, I'm not saying it's easy, I'm not going to say that, but it just, all the doors start opening. And like our audience becomes clear, what we're meant to do comes clear. And then also, too, it's like all the ideas and opportunities of what we're meant to do come clearer as well. And within that, it's really like giving people a permission slip too. I think that we have this idea of what we think we can do, but I want to tell you it's probably like a million times bigger, your purpose, especially if you're listening to this. Like we're always a match for who we're listening to. So someone listens to this and it can't be me. No, your higher self, like your universe, like would not bring you to listen to this if you weren't meant to do massive, massive things. So take your idea and it's probably a million times bigger of what you're really meant to impact and do in this life.
Uh, I was just talking to somebody else about this morning. He was like, shout out Ben. He's like, the biggest thing is getting people to realize because they may say, well, that's good for you. You can do that, but not me. Like there's no way I could do that. Or, but really it's the belief of not being good enough or not deserving, right? It's just again, to your point, overcoming that mindset and belief. But I am a huge believer in the universe. Everything happens for a reason. Even you and I connecting, like I love that we connected. We have so much alignment and I agree, if you're listening to this, you can do big things. It's those beliefs that we have to overcome, whether they were from childhood or things that people said. I mean, just a simple comment from somebody that you look up to can really do a lot of damage. And so those are the things like monitoring your thoughts. Monitoring my thoughts is something that I do daily and it takes a lot of work, but once you get it down, and you replace some of those and you realize that they're just thoughts, you can really change your entire life. So, Erin, I really appreciate you, your wisdom, your energy. How can people reach you?
Yes, of course. So on Instagram or TikTok, it's just Erin Dobbins underscore. I made Linktree on there. My website, I don't, depending on when this comes out, might be up there. So, but either way, that's where my sessions are. You can book with me, DM me, reach out. Love to connect.
I love this conversation because it's a reminder that success doesn't have to come at the cost of being human. We should all just be human at the end of the day. And the way you show up for your customers, your team, yourself, your clients, it's real. And people can feel that. People can feel your energy. And so, for anyone listening, if there's one takeaway here, it's that relationships still win always. Focus on your client, your customer, and that relationship at the very end, and all the success will follow. So thank you again for being here and sharing your story, Erin. And to everyone else, till next time on The Authentic Advantage.